Hey there, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're at. Hope you're having a good one. My name is Nick, aka Static Suppressor. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all the other social media platforms out there. Now, on this podcast, I'm going to be diving into the most controversial and overlooked issues in the streaming industry. We're going to be tackling tough topics that many shy away from, offering perspectives that often challenge the status quo. I'm not afraid to dig deep and present different viewpoints that go against the general consensus. I mean, simply put, if you're ready to question the norms and engage in real, honest discussions, this podcast is for you. This is Let's Get Real for a Second. Today's topic of conversation: politics. Why politics and live streams don't mix well together. So unless you've been living under a rock over the past week, a big election took place for the U.S. presidency. A lot of debate and controversy with this election, of course. And obviously everyone is open to have their own opinion on the matter. But in this specific episode, we're going to take a gander into the reasons as to why you should not talk about politics in a live stream. Now, as a live streamer myself on Twitch and YouTube, I try and steer clear of politics whenever possible. Of course, I have my own opinion on a matter, but I'm never going to make it publicly known, nor do I really care about anyone else's opinion on the matter, especially when I'm creating content that has nothing to do with it. All right, so why should you not talk about politics during your live stream? Well, of course, first, you run a risk of alienating a lot of potential viewers, because politics, as we know, can be very polarizing, and discussing it may actually alienate a portion of your audience who hold different views. It could create basically an us versus them dynamic, leading probably to a loss of followers who feel their beliefs aren't really being respected. And flowing right into that, I mean, it diverts focus from your core content. Let's say you're a live streamer who's playing video games, specifically Fortnite. You don't want all of a sudden a bunch of your viewers coming into the middle of you on a tangent or a rant over political views when they came by to just watch you play a video game. I mean, simply put, discussing politics can dilute your brand's message and shift focus away from your primary purpose of whatever your core content is about. And that doesn't go just for those who play video games for their content. It also even goes for your vloggers or IRL streamers, those who are fishing. No one wants to come in and all of a sudden start talking politics when we're trying to watch you catch a northern. No one wants to come in to your IRL stream where you're doing food reviews, but then they're caught up listening to you rant about why this policy is wrong and who did I vote for and da-da-da-da-da. It's very much a turn off when it comes to actually keeping an audience. Additionally, you might actually have viewers who do want to engage in that type of content, but the issue becomes because your core is not focused on politics, you don't know how your viewers' political beliefs are. So someone could come into the middle of your stream, and not only are they hearing you go on a tangent about politics, but there's a potential of a backlash because it can spark heated debates within the chat itself. And that'll basically derail your stream if all of a sudden you have Susie and Jim going at each other's throats in your chat talking about politics. Because now, not only do you have to kind of, control that situation, but any viewer who's coming into the middle of it, they can't even type anything because those two are going on a rant back and forth, just spamming the hell out of your chat. All of this, of course, is basically creating an unwelcomed atmosphere for your viewers. And the reason being is that politics, as unfortunate as it may sound, it actually triggers uncomfortable, strong emotions. Again, your audience is looking for escapism most of the time or relaxation. Discussing politics could 100% disrupt that atmosphere. Additionally, as a streamer, if you don't even talk about politics, that's perfect. But if you allow your chat to talk about politics unchecked, that's going to completely distract you from your main content. Because now here you are trying to play a game of Call of Duty, and now you have to take time just to look over and try and see if anyone needs to get timed out, who unfortunately might be a loyal viewer from, months in past. Because the last thing you want as a streamer is like these kind of political tangents and discussions overwhelming the chat, basically drowning out genuine engagement and interaction. So if you're playing a video game and then you look over at your chat and all you're seeing are political stances, and then you look back over at the video game, someone in the chat might have asked you something pertinent to the video game or whatever your core content is that you're creating, but by the time you look back over it, it's been drowned out. And because of this, all this political talk and mumbo jumbo and missing and distractions, that could honestly lead to a permanent loss of followers. Because political statements can have a long-term consequence, as people may choose to unfollow or avoid your content due to a single opinion expressed on stream. And that's not just held to the streamer, as I mentioned, it's also held to the actual chatters as well and the viewers. Because let's say you have two viewers who actually get along really well within a video game with you and whatnot, and then that one viewer decides to point out where they stand. Well, that other viewer now might be turned off because of that political stance, and to just remove temptation and even want to be dealing with it, they'll just unfollow you, the streamer, so they don't have to deal with that person's stance on anything. And not only is this now a loss of followers, but you gotta think, if you're an affiliate, this could be a loss of potential financial means too. So just case in point, let's use this past election for example. Let's say the streamer is really into Donald Trump. They voted for Donald Trump, they made themselves known that they voted for Donald Trump, and let's say that streamer has a viewer who is a big Kamala Harris supporter. And let's say, for argument's sake, that viewer is the number one sub-gifter, number one bit giver, number one cash donator to your stream. And up until this moment, they had no idea where you stood. But now they hear that you are all for Donald J. Trump. Well, given their opposite belief in who they actually wanted to win and vote for, they could look at you now and be like, wow, I've been wasting my money on this person. And boom, that whole entire money kind of stream just dried up the well. And you can sit there as the streamer and be like, well, no one should really be that emotional about it. But unfortunately, politics, religion, those are hot topics that from a live content creator type of environment, you want to stay away from. Live streams are meant to be, in my opinion, more for hobbies and things that you're passionate about, that you actually have a kind of cohesive engagement with people who are like-minded, who will stop by your stream more often and enjoy it. And you gotta think too, this isn't even just from a national standpoint. I mean, even if you look at like this past election for America, you could have international viewers who completely are gonna also have their own opinion on American politics. And if they hear your stance on this way or that, and if they don't agree, they won't want to stop by either. So avoiding politics in a live stream keeps your content focused, inclusive, and should be enjoyable for all. I can't tell you how many streams I've come across this past week where they are just on their soapbox and people just don't know when to shut up. And I'm not even talking about folks who I even have a disagreement with on their political beliefs. I'm even talking about those who I would actually agree with, but they are so headstrong on their opinions. All they want to do is hear their own voice in talking about it constantly, and no one's even arguing or let alone bringing up the conversation. They'll go on a rant for 30 plus minutes and no one's even engaging. Because of that, I could sit there and be like, you know what? I kind of agreed with you, but now you're just going too long, too far. I'm bouncing out of here. And keep in mind, of course, this is really more focused for the live streamers and content creators on such platforms like YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, etc., who really aren't well-known influencers. They aren't big names, right? So if you went up to a random person, they wouldn't know who you are. This podcast is really meant for them, because those who are bigger and influential, they can afford to basically talk about their political standpoints because they have easy fallback to where there's like a safe net that they aren't going to really lose too much traction. But if you're a smaller content creator, you have the potential of completely backtracking and 180-degree reverse Uno card on your whole entire engagement and audience buildup. So what I would actually recommend too is, let's say as a live streamer, you have someone coming in and they want to talk about it. First off, if you have someone who is blatantly like, hey, how about that election? You just say, hey, that election, we're not going to talk about politics. We're not going to talk about the election. I'm more than welcome to have a DM'd discussion about it if you really want to talk about it. But I just want to keep it out of my live stream. We're here to just chill and relax. But you could have people who don't want to bring up the politics, but they will subtly drop a hint as to their feelings on it. Again, when I live stream, I make sure I am non-biased, so you have no idea who I'm, rolling with in the political field. I had a couple of viewers come in, one of which asked, who was from the UK, asked, oh, is Donald Trump president yet? And I just simply said, oh, no, the election isn't until tomorrow. And I had another viewer come in, though, and respond with, yeah, but Donald Trump probably still left all of his Cheeto dust in the Oval Office. Obviously, that's an indicator that that viewer is not a fan of Donald Trump. So how do I respond? I simply just kind of turn it on its head and I say, whoa, you got something against Cheetos? So I'm just diffusing the situation to where I'm not jumping down anyone's throat if I were in support of Donald Trump, and I'm not joining on the bandwagon if I was in support of Kamala Harris with this viewer. Additionally, after the election, I had a viewer come in, I asked how they were doing, and they simply said, oh, well, after last night's election, I'm a little nervous, but I'm okay. Obviously indicating that they are not a fan of the actual election and how it panned out. But instead of telling them, yeah, that's terrible, or, oh, just suck it up, you had to respond with non-biased answers that don't show any kind of affiliation, but without offending them too, to wanting them to stick around. And you diffuse this situation with a simple response of, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. My DMs are always open if you ever want to talk about it. So you're indicating to your audience and the viewer, hey, this is obviously not the soapbox platform to make everything public right now, but if you really do feel bad or you feel like you have something you want to get off your chest, I'm making myself available and open for you to come and talk to me about it. Also, not giving any kind of indication of whether in support or against, and nor am I going to judge anyone for it. So these are just a couple tips that you can take into kind of funneling and shepherding, if you will, your viewers and the content that you're creating away from that political and or even religious viewpoints. So at the end of the day, keep your live streams politics free, unless you're an actual politician, in which case, hey, more power to you. But in the meantime, hoping that you guys keep your heads down, stay away from the controversy, produce great content for your audience, make it engaging, make it relatable, stick to your core, and we'll see you on the next episode of Let's Get Real for a Second.